Hey guys, it's Lynn. Today I want to talk about Marathon Patent Group, or MARA. But real quick before I start, I'd like to add that I'll be making a video later today talking about other great potential investments that have exposure to Bitcoin's price increases, but stay tuned for that later today. Now to start the video. For those who aren't familiar with Marathon, they focus on mining the digital asset known as cryptocurrency. Essentially, what cryptocurrency mining is the solving of extraordinarily complex math problems in reward for Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. Companies like Marathon leverage their hardware in order to mine in hopes of paying off their costs like maintenance, employee costs, electricity, hardware, and security and still turn a profit. One of the downsides to a business like this is that you have to routinely swap hardware every 6 to 12 months, sometimes even sooner depending on the coin and other factors. Now that I've explained the business model, the reason why it's been in the headlines is due to the recent run-ups in Bitcoin prices. With Bitcoin nearly at 23,000 right now, the company is able to generate more profits in their mining because they're paid with Bitcoin and not money. So if they're used to receiving 1 Bitcoin a day, they're able to profit more depending on the price. They're able to profit more if it was higher than it was, it's higher than it is now than last week. But that's only one side to the story. With Bitcoin being a fluctuating currency, these companies are vulnerable to extreme profit and revenue fluctuations. With Bitcoin being traded 24/7, a company like this is vulnerable to flash crashes, shifting economic sentiment from cryptocurrency, opposing legislation, and other bad things. Another thing a company like this is exposed to is the depreciation of their hardware. What I mean by this is every few months, companies like Antminer release new mining hardware that is faster and more efficient than the previous model. What this does is these new miners enter the network, solving the math problems faster. In the short term, it's extremely profitable. But as the network catches on to the faster computations, it responds with increasing the algorithm difficulty. So that's one thing. So the hardware they'll never be able to use the same hardware for even a year because it'll be obsolete and worth nothing at that point because the electricity costs are greater than what the yield of the miner has. But now let's get into the financials, starting off with 2016. In 2016, the company had a revenue of 36.63 million and an earnings loss of 28.67 million. In 2017, the company had revenue of 519,000 and an earnings loss of 31 million. In 2018, the company had revenue of 1.56 million and an earnings loss of 12.87 million. In 2019, the company had a revenue of 1.19 million and an earnings loss of 3.52 million. With a market cap of 523 million for a company who hasn't had over $2 million in revenue in the last 3 years is pretty astonishing. But this is something to consider when you're investing in mining companies like this. They definitely have a lot of downsides to a company like this, and you need to be at large scales, and you need to be constantly moving because there are places that have local jurisdictions that are opposed to having Bitcoin miners. So if you look in the headlines, there are times where Bitcoin mining facilities had to have moved because the region or city has become hostile to their business. Now, the reason why I know all this information is because I was once a Bitcoin miner and I'm very familiar with the economics of running a mining rig, and it's not as romantic as some may think. This is really the equivalent of chasing gold back in the gold rush days, going to Alaska and California. You're really chasing a dream with something like this. But it's not all bad. There are things where you can make profit in short times, but at a large scale, it's just not doable. But that's just my thoughts. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but let me know what you guys think. I'm curious to know. But thank you again for watching. Don't forget about that video that I'll be releasing later today. But thanks for watching. Leave any comments or questions in the comments below. I'd love to respond. And thank you for watching. Peace.